If hard work alone built wealth, Black America would be the richest group on earth. Let that sit for a second.
We worked the plantations. We worked the railroads. We worked the factories. We worked the military. We worked corporate America. We worked overtime. We worked 2 jobs.
And yet, we still do not control land at scale. Listen, that opening line isn't a soundbite. It's a diagnosis. It's a way to clear the fog. For decades, people have said, work hard, get ahead. But the truth is deeper, structural, and frankly, stubborn. And yet, we still do not control land at scale. We do not control major banks. We do not control supply chains. We do not control industries in proportion to our labor.
So the issue was never whether we worked. The issue is who owned the results of the work.
Black labor, white wealth, breaks that down with precision. It does not shout, it maps. The book explains how a group can supply the labor for generations and still not accumulate proportional wealth. That sentence, it should make you stop and think about what builds wealth versus what builds effort.
The central argument is simple. If you provide labor but do not control capital, you remain dependent.
You can be educated and still economically vulnerable. You can be talented and still economically marginal. You can be visible and still economically powerless. Because power is not effort. Power is control.
Control of land, control of businesses, control of distribution, control of credit, control of institutions, control of political leverage. If you do not control those, you are negotiating from the outside.
It's a blunt list, but bluntness is necessary. We spend a lot of energy celebrating grit and hustle without measuring what those things actually change over generations. The book walks through history without making it emotional. It lays out systems the way an engineer draws a blueprint, not to shame, but to show where the leaks are. After slavery, free people had labor skills, but no land. They had energy, but no capital. They had determination, but no infrastructure. Meanwhile, other groups that came into this country received land grants, protected markets, credit systems, and political alignment. That structural advantage compounds over generations. If one group starts with land and loans, and another starts with labor and debt, the outcomes will not look the same, even if both work equally hard. That is structure. Structure matters. We celebrate firsts. First Black CEO, first Black billionaire, first Black this, first Black that. But individual elevation does not automatically equal group power. If one person becomes wealthy, but the group remains economically fragile, that is personal success, not structural change. The book constantly returns to one theme. Group economics determines group power. Other communities circulate dollars internally. They support their own institutions. They train their youth for ownership. They build businesses that feed their own ecosystems. If your primary economic role is consumer, you are funding someone else's power. Every dollar that leaves your community and never circulates back strengthens another group's institutions. This is not about guilt. It is about awareness. The book makes another uncomfortable point. We often train our children for employment instead of ownership. We celebrate salaries. We celebrate titles. We celebrate access. There is nothing wrong with a good job. But jobs build income. Ownership builds leverage. Income feeds your household. Ownership
feeds generations. Income depends on your time. Ownership depends on structure. Income is taxed. Ownership compounds. If a community spends most of its time chasing income and very little time building assets, it stays reactive. It survives, but does not control. The psychological layer is real too. If a group spends generations asking for access instead of building structure, it can begin to internalize dependence. Inclusion is not the same as control. Representation is not the same as ownership. Sitting at the table is not the same as owning the table. The book is not telling you to be angry. It is telling you to be strategic. Land matters. Banks matter. Insurance companies matter. Manufacturing matters. Media matters. Education systems matter. If you do not own these at scale, you are not shaping outcomes at scale. You are participating in someone else's system. Fast forward to today, we have more Black graduates than ever, more Black millionaires than ever, more visibility than ever. And yet, the wealth gap remains. Why? Because structural ownership has not scaled at the same rate as individual achievement. The book challenges you to move from talent to infrastructure, from income to assets, from employment to enterprise, from hustle to system. It forces a hard question. Are we building owners? Or are we building highly educated workers? Hard work is respected. Owners is obeyed. One earns applause. The other earns leverage. No one is coming to rescue you economically. Policies can help. Advocacy matters. But without internal organization, discipline, and long-term ownership strategy, the gap remains. The book is not blaming. It is diagnosing. And once you understand the diagnosis, you have a choice. Stay offended or build differently. So what does building differently actually look like? It starts with changing allocation of time and resources, not just money, but attention, networks, and instruction for the next generation. You prioritize asset building as a community practice. Land, small banks, credit unions, minority-owned insurance, manufacturing hubs, media platforms, and education institutions tailored to entrepreneurship. Practically, it looks like shifting from a consumer-first mental model to an owner-first ecosystem. Practically, start businesses that employ and train, build savings vehicles that link to community investment, and use coordinated buying power to seed enterprises that keep money circulating. Look, I'm not here to hand out platitudes. I left a corporate VP role because I needed to stop telling people to hustle and start showing them how to structure. Hard work is a foundation. Ownership is the building. And structures can be learned. If you are serious about applying these principles to your life, your family, and your financial structure, visit millionairex.ai for all your financial needs. And when you need business structure, strategic clarity, or a strategist to clear your head and help you think at scale, go to CPRFIRM.com. Stop working hard without structure. Start building systems that outlive you. This means intentional education for our kids that includes balance sheets and ownership, not just grades and test scores. It means mentorship programs that teach equity, not just networking. It means community capital pools that prioritize compounding returns inside the community. I remember sitting with an entrepreneur in Birmingham. Young woman, brilliant, 2 jobs, doing consulting on nights, trying to scale a construction firm during weekends. She had grit for days. But when we ran the math, she kept trading time for money. We restructured her business to own the supply chain, partnerships with local suppliers, a small equipment co-op, and a plan to buy a lot of land in increments. Within 3 years, she moved from being a high-earning contractor to an owner of assets that paid wages when she wasn't on site. Her payoff wasn't immediate, but it was durable.
That's the point. The mechanics are straightforward, even if the practice is hard. Accumulate assets that produce returns independent of your time. Use community finance to lower friction and increase trust. Convert consumer spending into equity stakes when possible.
I'm gonna be blunt. If you think your 401k alone will fix this, you're missing the bigger play. Retirement accounts matter, don't get me wrong, but retirement vehicles alone don't change who sets market terms in your neighborhood.
Ownership moves markets. Ownership writes rules. Ownership sets prices. Ownership creates jobs that feed you and your children and your neighbor's children. So what do we do tomorrow? Small set of disciplined steps. 1. Map local assets and gaps in your neighborhood. 2. Create a coordinated purchasing plan that directs a portion of household spend to Black-owned businesses with clear reinvestment plans. 3. Form or join a pooled investment vehicle, even a small one, that buys land, equipment, or equity in local firms. It starts small. 100 households doing $50 a month into a disciplined community fund can make real purchases in a few years. That is leverage. That is structure. And you do this while keeping good jobs. Keep your salary. Use it as a tool. But redirect some wage toward building assets that do not require your presence to produce returns. The psychological switch is the hardest. Generations of taught dependence don't vanish overnight, but discipline, shared purpose, and simple financial engineering overcome inertia. This is a long game. There are practical partners that can help you think at scale. MillionaireX.ai helps organize your financial life so asset accumulation is visible, measurable, and disciplined. CPRFIRM.com helps businesses and community groups build legal structure, governance, and strategic plans so ownership isn't an idea, it's enforceable and productive. Use them. Study Black labor, white wealth. Read the maps. Then choose to be strategic. And don't confuse ceremony for strategy. Celebrations motivate us, but celebrations without an after plan become distractions. We need less applause and more balance sheets, less photo ops and more board seats, less representation on stages and more representation on payrolls and ownership documents. I know this path is not easy. It demands discipline, uncomfortable conversations, and the patience to outlast the quick win. But if you want your grandchildren to have different choices, you must act now. Build systems that outlive you. So here's the concrete. Read the book. Map your household's money flow. Commit to one asset-building action in the next 90 days. Open a community investment account, incorporate a small holding company, or join a pooled land purchase. If you need help translating the diagnosis into a practical plan, Millionaire X is where you start. If you need help creating legal structures and strategic clarity for a business or community fund, go to CPRFIRM.com. Stop working hard without structure. Start building systems that outlive you. And when you do start, tell someone else how you did it. Teach the next person. That circulation of strategy, not just dollars, is how group power grows. Closing, Black labor, white wealth maps the problem. Your job now is to carry the map into a plan, and then execute. That is how we move from labor to ownership, from applause to leverage, from hard work to real generational wealth. Final pause. MillionaireX.ai, CPRFIRM.com. Build differently, build long.
You've tried it your way, but you're still in debt. Or maybe you're doing okay, but want to invest smarter, grow faster. MillionaireX.ai gives you real step-by-step strategies to ditch debt or stack wealth. Stop dreaming and start planning. Visit MillionaireX.ai today. I want you to be the next millionaire next door.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At CPRFIRM.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Kellen Kash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at CPRFIRM.com.
Hi everyone. Have you ever been curious about visiting Africa? Which African country were you interested in? Kenya, Nigeria, Uganda, South Africa, Ethiopia? Which country are you interested in? My good friend Kellen Kash Coleman came up with a course called My First Trip to Africa that'll guide you through this process. It's only $20, and in this course you'll learn about passports, visas, vaccinations that you need before you go there, as well as a budget, how much the trip is going to cost. He also talks about what you should pack, what you should take with you, how you should travel on a budget. Did you know that $100 is worth 1,000 South African rand and over 10,000 Kenyan shillings? So imagine what you can do with $100 back home. I say back home because I'm from Sudan, I'm African, I already know how it's like. I know that, when you convert Canadian and American money, it goes a long way when you're traveling across Africa. So if you're curious, if Africa is a place that you've always wanted to go, always wanted to move there, Kellen Kash is the person to ask. Check out the course. There's a little preview you can listen to before you actually purchase it. If you're interested in this course, visit www.diversifiedgame.com. Don't miss out.